I'm going to be covering sensitivity in this video, and this is mostly about finding your native sensitivity and something that you're comfortable with playing. Just a quick reminder, but this will not be instant, and you will need a lot of time in order to find your native sensitivity. So, first of all, what are some things that influence sensitivity? Well, the first few things that involved in affecting your sensitivity are your mouse sensitivity in game. This is probably the biggest factor. Zoom sensitivity, this will be when you're scoping in, right? Raw input, we'll get into more detail later. Mouse acceleration, which will affect how much your sensitivity is increased at the instantaneous motion, depending on how fast you move your mouse. You know, some people like it, some people hate it, and I don't really like it, but it also affects your mouse sensitivity, and you might want to choose to turn it on or off. Now, other things that affect your sensitivity can be, voila, your one and only mouse properties. Now, you can go to, if you're using Windows 7, maybe even Windows 8, go to your control panel, go to all control panel items, and you will find mouse, right? And if you go to mouse, this will come up like this, and you want to go to pointer options. Now, pointer speed, enhanced pointer precision are the two things that affect your sensitivity in game. So your pointer speed will be your movement throughout CSGO. Mine is like right here. You can count it for yourself. I think it's out of 11. Enhanced pointer precision is just a fancy way of saying mouse acceleration. So I would keep this box unticked, you know, because it also, if you turn on raw input, it gets in the way. If you turn off raw input, it gets in the way of your mouse acceleration in the game side. So I suggest you turn this off. It also is really uncomfortable because if I move it fast, it kind of affects how much my pointer moves, and when I'm trying to click a button, sometimes my hand can go a bit too far and it can click somewhere else, which is really annoying, as you guys might all have experienced. So let's go back to CSGO. So now let's go more into detail. Okay, if you use a gaming mouse like me, and you've paid quite a bit for your gaming mouse, let's say like 40-50 bucks, maybe even 20 bucks. You know, some are a lot cheaper, but you know, let's say you have a gaming mouse from like Razer, Logitech, SteelSeries, it doesn't matter. They all will have their own clients. You know, I lied, and you know, we're going back to our monitor because I'm an asshole. So the program that the Logitech uses is Logitech gaming software driver. You go into the Logitech gaming site and you download the driver. Now you go to your onboard memory, right? You'll always have something similar to this. You can have a DPI level. Now this is very important. Okay, your DPI level is dots per inch squared, and that's your sensitivity. You know, pros like to play on your usual benchmarks like 400, 800. I've seen pros play at 1200, but you can pick anything. Okay, it doesn't really matter because we're gonna try and find your data sensitivity. So what you're gonna do is, I use 400. A lot of pros use 400 or 800, and that's like the common kind of universal thing. And a polling rate, you know, if you keep it 1000 or 500, usually that'll help. You know, lights just make it cool, but yeah, these are the most important things, just your pointer settings, okay? And I suggest if you're gonna play competitively, or even if you're trying to get better at the game, to set only one DPI level. A lot of mice these days will come with multiple mouse profiles, so you can have like one profile that'll give you 400, one that'll give you 800. And you can set this bar, and usually they have a limit and a minimum. So you want to kind of just set one, because you know, you can set a button to like let's see right here, you can set a button to to shift your DPI, and if you accidentally click that in game, and you know, muscle memory is a very important part of Counter-Strike. So like, let's say you flick, but then you're at a different DPI profile and you just go off the map, and you'll get mad at yourself for setting that DPI setting, and that might even cost you the game. Alright, so let's go back to CSGO. Now that we know that DPI is a very important factor, we go back into the game where we see raw input, mouse acceleration. First of all, mouse sensitivity. People are wondering what this is. It's basically your sensitivity, but the way it's calculated is really interesting. It's not interesting. The way it's calculated is very simple. You have a GPI, and then your mouse sensitivity is your multiplier. Okay, so if you playing at 400 DPI and you have one mouse sensitivity, that'll be the same as playing on 800 DPI. No, if you have 400 DPI and you're playing with 2 sensitivity, that will be the same as playing with 800 DPI having 1 sensitivity, right? So basically, your DPI multiplied by your mouse sensitivity is equal to your final, like, kind of end product. So let's put some algebra in here because I have no life. Let's say if you were playing with 1.1 sensitivity at 800 dpi, hashtag Freiburg, and you wanted to change to 400 dpi, you'd simply just multiply your sensitivity rate by 2 because you're dividing your DPI rate by 2. Okay, just some math there. Zoom sensitivity. This will be how your sensitivity from when you're zoomed in. I like to keep it at 1 because muscle memory. Once again, some people like to lower this to make sure they're more accurate, but this is, again, is a multiplier. So if you have 2.1 sensitivity and your zoom sensitivity is 1, just take your 2.1 and multiply that by 1. Okay? And if your sensitivity is at 0.5, just take your 2.1 and multiply that by 0.5, so you get 1.05. And that'll be technically your zoom sensitivity. So when you're zoomed in, that'll be your sensitivity. Raw input. Half of what I explained, this will cancel it all out. Every single thing that you've done on your control panel will all be wiped out. So if you turn raw input on, the only thing that'll take effect will be your mouse sensitivity, so everything in this game, so your mouse sensitivity, your zoom sensitivity, your mouse acceleration, and your DPI. Your window sensitivity, though the 11 little ticks, and your enhanced pointer precision, none of that will matter if you turn on raw input. I highly recommend this because you can have a lot more it's easier to memorize, and you have more memorizable sensitivity just in case you do decide to move devices. And now let's go into an offline server. Let's just go into a Dust server, and I don't really need much explanation for this, but this is how you find your native sensitivity. Now, native sensitivity will come with time, okay? And don't change sensitivity too much. So, what kind of things are you going to look for when you want to find your native sensitivity? So, actually, I don't need to. Alright. When you're looking for your native sensitivity, you want to find two little things where you can kind of focus on. Go! And you don't have to be perfect because, aim isn't perfect. So let's say you're spawning at T-spawn, and let's say you aim at... No, let's say you're going for mid, right? Let's say you aim at this block right here, this corner, and this corner. You just kind of want to do this. So you kind of do that, right? And you want to kind of find your native sensitivity. So let's say your sensitivity was 5. I mean, holy shit, you can't really control that, right? Goes a bit too much. Then it's too fast for you. Sensitivity is like this, and it's kind of absurd. You means it's too low. So I use 2.1. I'm still trying to get used to sensitivity, and I used to use a slightly more sensitive one. So I have a habit of kind of pulling down harder, pulling harder on my mouse, and that usually causes me to kind of over aim it. And yeah, so a good place to start would be 800 dpi by 2 sensitivity. Now 800 dpi by 1 sensitivity, which is 400 dpi with 2 sensitivity, and that will be probably the best place to start. And from there on, you can kind of raise or lower it slightly. So let's say you're aiming, right? If you find yourself kind of let's say a guy is right here, okay, and then you're aiming here. If you find yourself doing this a lot, you aim up too much and then you go back to it and then you start shooting, you might want to think about lowering it a bit. And if you find yourself aiming like this and then kind of adjusting and shooting, you might want to up it a bit. You'll see where it's relevant. And then it doesn't have to be perfect, but you just want to find something that is kind of good for you. And I think that's all I have for sensitivity. And yeah,